Very good afternoon. This is the midday news on Rajya Sabha TV. All the developing news stories at the top of this hour. Coming up ahead, I'm Ashwarya with you. Let us start the news bulletin with the headlines. Minority Affairs Ministry team arrives in Kashmir on a 2-day visit. Team to identify areas for implementing central government's development projects. State administration assures the local situation is fast nearing normalcy with sufficient availability of essential commodities, including medicines. RBI board accepts recommendations by high-level panel headed by its former governor Bimal Jalan, agrees to transfer 1.7 lakh crore rupees in dividend and surplus reserves to the government. Finance Ministry extends the 30th of August GST annual return filing deadline by 3 months. Taxpayers can now file returns till 30th of November. Decision taken over taxpayers' complaints over facing technical glitches. And India is now world leader in renewable energy with increased investments and clean energy installations. Ranks the second after Chile in climate scope report by Bloomberg NEF, moves 3 spots from the 5th position in 2018. Our top stories from Jammu and Kashmir, where a team of Minority Affairs Ministry has reached Kashmir on a 2-day visit. Now, this team is expected to identify the areas to implement a central government's developmental projects. Union Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi said that the team will identify areas to implement centrally sponsored development projects after the provisions of Article 370 were abrogated. Naqvi said that the team will also visit Jammu and Ladakh regions at a later date. The team will also assess the need of opening schools, colleges, skill development centers, hospitals and other facilities for the development of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. The team will prepare a comprehensive report on the possibilities of social economic development projects in the regions.
हमारे मंत्रालय की एक उच्च स्तरीय टीम आज पहुंच गई है वहां और वहां पर वो आज उच्च अधिकारियों से जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों से साथ बात करेगी। वहां पर जो और स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, लोग हैं, अलग अलग संगठन हैं, उनके लोगों से बात करेगी। माननीय राज्यपाल जी से मिलेगी और आज भी और कल भी दोनों दिन जो है वो विभिन्न विकास से जुड़े हुए, विभिन्न एम्पावरमेंट से जुड़े हुए प्रोजेक्ट्स के बारे में ज़मीन की हकीकत और ज़मीन के सच्चाई को समझेगी और जो बहुत बड़ा गैप है डेवलपमेंट का, उस गैप को भरने के लिए उन जगहों पर जहाँ पर की शिक्षा की जो आवश्यकता है और वहाँ पर शैक्षणिक जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर्स हैं वो नहीं है, स्कूल नहीं है, कॉलेज नहीं है, पॉलिटेक्निक नहीं है, ITI नहीं है, हॉस्पिटल नहीं है, हॉस्टल्स नहीं है या कम्युनिटी सेंटर्स या एक लंबा जो विकास से जुड़े हुए पहलू हैं उनका अध्ययन करके और जल्द से जल्द फ़ौरन इन क्षेत्रों में करेगी। आज श्रीनगर में है, फिर जम्मू जाएंगे, फिर लेह और उसके बाद करगिल। अभी नहीं, मतलब इसके कुछ दिनों बाद जो है वो जम्मू और उसके बाद लेह और करगिल भी ये टीम जाएगी।
And in more news from Jammu and Kashmir, a team of officials from the Tourism Ministry, led by Minister Prahlad Patel, will be touring Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh next month to finalize the plans to boost tourism in the 2 newly formed union territories by 1st of November. Patel said that he had already sent 2 officials from the ministry on deputation to Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, who would act as an advance team. He said that 2 recent decisions of the government, one on e-visas and on the opening up of 137 peaks, 15 of which were in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh for foreign tourists, would boost the tourist footfall in the region. He added that this would further help in the growth of both revenue generating and also employment opportunities in the state. On to some other news, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has returned to India after his 3-nation visit to France, Bahrain and the UAE and the G7 summit in France. He also took part in the recently concluded G7 summit in France on the sessions on digital transformation and climate change, to name a few. In a Twitter message, MEA spokesperson Ravish Kumar said that the Prime Minister's three-nation visit deepened India's relations with friends and projected our voice on the global stage. In the G7 summit, Prime Minister Modi highlighted India's efforts in putting digital technology to use to fight social inequalities through empowerment and inclusion. And difference of understanding between India and the US on Jammu and Kashmir is over now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has categorically made it clear to US President Donald Trump that there is no scope for any intervention on Kashmir and it will remain a bilateral matter between India and Pakistan for all purposes. Rather, the Prime Minister suggested that India and Pakistan should work together to tackle the challenges of poverty as both nations were the same country once.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday had 2 rounds of extensive talks with US President Donald Trump in the French seaside resort town of Biarritz. Both leaders later addressed a media conference and fielded the media's questions on the sidelines of the G7 meeting. Prime Minister Modi made it a point to categorically state that no other country needed to be worried about Jammu and Kashmir, which is just a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan.
भारत और पाकिस्तान के सारे इश्यूज बायलैटरल है और इसलिए हम दुनिया के किसी भी देश को इनके लिए कष्ट नहीं देते हैं और मुझे विश्वास है कि भारत और पाकिस्तान जो 1947 के पहले एक ही थे, हम मिलजुल करके हमारी समस्याओं पर चर्चा भी कर सकते हैं और समाधान भी कर सकते हैं.
The talks came against the backdrop of Trump making references to mediation on the issue of Jammu and Kashmir. However, Prime Minister Modi convinced the US President that both India and Pakistan needed to work together on issues like poverty eradication and creating better opportunities for people of both countries.
भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच कई बायलैटरल इश्यूज हैं और पाकिस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री के चुनाव के बाद जब मैंने उनको टेलीफोन किया था तब मैंने उनसे कहा है हम दोनों देश मिलकर के गरीबी के खिलाफ लड़ें, हमारी असुविधाओं के खिलाफ लड़ें और हम मिलकर के दोनों देश की आवाम की भलाई के लिए काम करें. ये संदेश मैंने पाकिस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री जी को भी दिया है और राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप से भी हमेशा हमारे इस बायलैटरल संबंधों के संबंध में बात होती रहती है.
Prime Minister Modi and US President Trump also had an in-depth review of the global situation. The strategic unity between the two countries was very evident from their body language too.
Thank you very much. It's great to be with Prime Minister Modi of India, incredible country, and he's an incredible man. Just had a tremendous election victory, and he really is a man who's loved and respected in this country. We're talking about trade, we're talking about military, we're talking about many different things, and we've had some great discussions. We were together last night for dinner, and I learned a lot about India. Fascinating place. Beautiful place, and it's an honor to be with you.
भारत का और अमेरिका का आर्थिक क्षेत्र में, व्यापार के क्षेत्र में लगातार बातचीत हो रही है और कई विषयों में हम अमेरिका के सुझावों का स्वागत करते हैं और मिलजुल करके ट्रेड के क्षेत्र में आगे बढ़ने की दिशा में हम प्रयास कर रहे हैं.
Trade and commerce figured significantly in the talks between the two leaders, with both agreeing to remove obstacles in trade to provide a strategic depth to bilateral ties. Energy cooperation was also a major component of the talks. Foreign Secretary Vijay Gokhale said India's businesses will be able to invest in energy sectors of America.
Subsequent to that, there was a 40-minute meeting, and it was principally focused on issues of trade and energy. The Prime Minister spoke of the importance of energy imports from the United States. He referred to the fact that $4 billion worth of imports were already in the pipeline and that we expected to step it up. The objective there is twofold. One, to see how we can import more energy from the United States, and the second is how we can invest in the energy sector in the United States, or rather how Indian companies can invest in the energy sector in the United States. So essentially, the two leaders have agreed that preferably before Prime Minister's visit to Washington, there will be an interaction between the trade ministers at which we will discuss the whole range of trade issues. So essentially that was the gist of the discussion. It was a very warm meeting, very positive meeting. It followed the discussions that Prime Minister had with President Trump on the telephone the week before.
In a setback to Pakistan, US President Donald Trump said India had an important role in establishing peace in Afghanistan. A notable feature of the talks was the bonhomie between the two leaders, who cracked jokes in a show of rare personal chemistry with each other. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And at the G7 summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also attended a dedicated session on climate change, underlining India's contribution to address issues of reducing biodiversity, climate change, water stress and ocean pollution. The Prime Minister highlighted India's large-scale efforts towards eliminating single-use plastic, conserving water, harnessing solar energy and protecting the flora and fauna for a sustainable future. He also led the dedicated session on digital transformation, where he highlighted India's efforts in putting digital technology to fight social inequalities through empowerment and inclusion. And earlier in the day, Prime Minister Modi also held one-on-one talks with the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, President of Senegal Macky Sall, and United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres on the sidelines of the summit. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankars will be in Moscow for a two-day visit that begins today. During the visit, he will hold talks with the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to further advance the bilateral cooperation. The visit comes just ahead of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Russia in the first week of September, where he will participate in the Eastern Economic Forum. And the BJP plans to hold a month-long contact program to highlight the significance of the government's decision to nullify Article 370 and Article 35A. Government ministers, MPs and office bearers will hold public meetings in 35 big cities and 370 smaller towns of the country. The towns in Kashmir that have been chosen for the program are Srinagar, Anantnag, Baramulla and Sopore. On to some other news. After returning from a three-nation tour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today met the family members of former Union Minister Arun Jaitly, who passed away on Saturday. Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah visited the residence of the late leader in the national capital and expressed condolences to the bereaved family members. We'll take a very short break here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more news.
Three million people have now given the thumbs up to Rajya Sabha television. RSTV's growth has been phenomenal, with the journey from 2 million to 3 million being completed in less than 6 months. That's over 6,200 new subscribers every day. Our online viewers are engaging with us more actively. Every day, thousands like, share and comment on our videos. So come and join this growing tribe of RSTV viewers and get ready for an exciting journey.
News from Uttar Pradesh, where a private aircraft crashed today at the Dhanipur airstrip in Uttar Pradesh's Aligarh district. 6 people were travelling on board the private jet. All have been declared safe after the accident. The plane had taken off from Delhi at 8:30 a.m. and crashed during landing when it apparently touched a high-tension line. The Reserve Bank of India has decided to transfer 1.76 lakh crore rupees in surplus reserves and dividends to the government. Now, this follows the RBI board accepting the recommendations of a high-level panel headed by its former governor, Bimal Jalan, on the transfer of excess reserves to the government. In a statement, the central bank said that its board had decided to transfer a sum of 1.76 lakh crore rupees to the government, comprising 1.23 crore of surplus for the year 2018-19 and 52,637 crore rupees of excess provisions identified as per the revised economic capital framework. And the Finance Ministry on Monday said that the last date for filing of annual GST returns has been extended by 3 months to 30th of November. The Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs said in a statement that the date has been extended as the taxpayers were facing technical problems in furnishing returns. Earlier, the GST taxpayers were required to file their returns by 31st of August. Now, GSTR 9 is an annual return to be filed yearly by the taxpayers registered under the Goods and Services Tax, and GSTR 9C is filed by those whose annual turnover exceeds 2 crore rupees. On to the other top story that we are tracking this afternoon. Developing nations are now driving the world's gradual shift towards renewable energy, and India has become one of the leaders of this pack. With increased investments and clean energy installations, as well as the world's largest renewable action market, now India ranks second after Chile in the 2018 Climate Scope report by energy researcher Bloomberg NEF. The organization studied over 80 indicators such as clean energy policies, power sector structures, emissions, and installed capacities for 103 countries around the world. Now, India's second position represents a climb of 3 spots from the 5th position that it held last year. In comparison, China this year ranked 7th, that is down from the top position last year. Remember, the Narendra Modi government has set an ambitious target of reaching 175 GW of clean energy generation by March 2022. Bloomberg's NEF's research shows that in June 2018, renewables accounted for 71 GW of India's installed generating capacity. And Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan has stressed for the need for Department of Health in all the ministries, as the Health Ministry signed an MOU with the Social Justice and Empowerment Ministry for enhanced HIV/AIDS outreach. He said that the impact of its program has been significant, with more than 80% decline in the estimated new infections from the peak of epidemic in 1995. Similarly, estimated AIDS-related deaths also declined by 71% since its peak in 2005. According to the UN AIDS 2018 report, the global average for decline in the new infections and AIDS-related deaths from the peak has been 47% and 51% respectively. He further said that the government is fully committed for meeting all the set goals to eliminate HIV/AIDS by the year 2030. Chandrayaan-2, which is currently orbiting the moon, has captured some more images of the lunar surface, showing several craters. And sharing the pictures, ISRO said in a statement that these photographs captured by this lunar spacecraft are showing some of those craters, many of which have been named after the great scientists, astronomers, and physicists. For example, crater Mitra has been named after Professor Sisir Kumar Mitra, an Indian physicist and Padma Bhushan recipient, known for his pioneering work in the field of ionosphere and radiophysics. These pictures of the lunar surface were taken on 23rd of August by the Terrain Mapping Camera 2 of the Chandrayaan-2 from an altitude of about 4,375 kilometers. Remember, the first picture of the moon was captured by Chandrayaan-2 and it was released by ISRO on 22nd of August. And robots will now serve citizens in Bengaluru at the city's first robot restaurant. Now, with a futuristic space-like ambience, one robot ushers in and 5 others serve the meal. So here is a report at a restaurant that takes you to the future.
Robot Restaurant is located in the upmarket high street in Bengaluru. The Android-based robot first greets diners, guides them to their table, and in their subsequent visits will also greet them by their names, enabled with its built-in facial recognition technology. The aisles of the restaurant are extra spacious to allow free movement of the robots. The front of the restaurant sports a video wall that offers a cockpit view of outer space. To add on to the futuristic experience, soups and starters are served on mini trains that roll on mini tracks along the tables.
We have come here for the first time. This is a new experience for us where we can see robots serving for us, and there is another new technology where the trains will be coming and we can place order on the tab here. You can see all those dishes here, menus here, and you can place order here, and within 2 minutes of time you can get served from the robots there. Yeah, very nice experience, and I request all the peoples and the new generations to keep coming here often and spread the love. Yeah.
Each table is equipped with a digital tablet through which any dish can be selected and ordered. Once the food is prepared, a robot is assigned to deliver the food to the table. Every table has a digital tablet and the customer just has to pick and choose, order and wait for the turn. Once the food is ready, the kitchen assigns a robot for dispatch. The staff at the restaurant have been specially trained to handle the robots in case of malfunction.
So this is our first robot-themed restaurant in Bangalore, and it's a fourth venture for us. So once you enter the restaurant, we are allocated the table for you. So if your table number is, for example, I am saying its table number is 12 means, the table 12 will be given a place for you. So you have to come to your table. There is a one tab will be placed in your table. So in the table, the start order button will be there. So in the start order button, if you click, that all the menus will be given in the tab itself.
The first robo-restaurant was launched in 2017 in Chennai, and now Bengaluru is enjoying a high-tech dining experience.
Zoe, Alice and Arya are interactive and are also programmed to sing birthday wishes for you on your birthday. The robot restaurant is another example of how young India is treading on the digital paths. Reporting from Bengaluru with camera person Jitendra Negi and Om Prakash, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
The top international focus now. Hundreds of new fires have flared up in the Amazon in Brazil on Monday, even as the military aircrafts dumped water over the hard-hit areas, and G7 nations pledged to help combat the blaze. The Brazilian government, however, has rejected a G7 aid of 20 million euros to fight Amazon fires, as reported by news agency AFP. Smoke choked Port Velho city as fires raged in the northwestern state of Rondônia, where firefighting efforts are concentrated. On Monday, 2 C-130 Hercules aircrafts carrying thousands of liters of water began dousing fires, devouring chunks of the world's largest rainforest, which is seen as crucial to keeping climate change in check. Sports news now. PV Sindhu, the first ever Indian badminton player to win the BWF World Championships, returned to New Delhi. A large number of sports lovers were present at the airport to welcome her. Sindhu said that she hopes that she will win the same medal for the country in the future as well. Remember, in the final of the women's singles of the World Championship, PV Sindhu easily won the gold medal, defeating Nozomi Okuhara of Japan 21-7, 21-7.
Have brought me till here, and I think definitely I will work more hard and get many more medals for the country. Each tournament is a different experience, and a wonderful experience, I must say. And yeah, of course, someone asked me that what are your next targets, whether if it's Olympics, but I think it's very short-term goals, and for me right now it's some of the super series because it's a qualification for the Olympics, and it's just step by step, and definitely my ultimate aim would be Tokyo 2020.
News from the tennis court, and Sumit Nagal is going to have a very solid career, said Swiss icon Roger Federer, after the Indian managed to save a set-off in the US Open first round clash. Nagal lost 6-4, 1-6, 2-6, 4-6 in a match that lasted 2 hours and 50 minutes in New York to bow out after making his maiden Grand Slam main draw. The debut, at least in the opening set, was very impressive as he stretched Federer, a 5-time champion here, with a career tally of 20 slams. Nagal, who was playing his maiden Grand Slam main draw match at the US Open, came out with a positive approach and also showed no signs of being overwhelmed. And that is the wrap on this edition of Midday News. Thanks so much for your time.